listening to The Greg Kelly Show.
So we can't lose our scan here. There are other things going on. Jeffrey Epstein, major developments in the Jeffrey Epstein case. This guy was obviously a serial sexual predator who liked children. And law enforcement knew that for many, many years, yet he still was able to get this strange sweetheart deal where he did a few weekends of jail time in Palm Beach County. Very strange. It was like literally a tap on the wrist. And he went on to molest a lot more people, a lot more women and girls, and also do business with some of the most important and powerful people in America, even with this sex abuse conviction on his record. He's met with a CIA director. He was still meeting with Prince Andrew. He was meeting with George Stephanopoulos and on and on and on. But now we're going back in 2006. I guess one of the reasons why this guy wasn't held accountable, it looks to me like the grand jury blamed the victims in the harshest terms imaginable. We're joined now by Nick Bryant. He is a great journalist and author. Most recently, his book, which is a must read for anybody interested in Watergate. And this is the definitive Watergate book, The Truth About Watergate, A Tale of Extraordinary Lies and Liars. Nick Bryant, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to be with you, Greg.
So what is going on here? I was speaking rather broadly, but tell us a little bit about these grand jury, this testimony we're seeing for the first time.
In 2006, there was a very corrupt grand jury, and it met. And grand juries are done in secrecy, and it had a very, very corrupt special prosecutor. And the law enforcement was aware of 22 victims, of underage victims of Epstein at that point. And the special prosecutor, Barry Kirshner, only called 2 of those victims. And what they did, they called these girls, and both of them had been 14 when they were molested, and one of them was 16 when she was testifying. They called them prostitutes and excoriated them. And actually grand jurors chimed in and said, you know what you did was wrong. I mean, they're asking this girl who was 14 years old when she was molested by Jeffrey Epstein. And they're saying there's no accountability for Jeffrey Epstein. They're putting the onus of Jeffrey Epstein's molestation solely on these young girls.
So, all right, let's just talk about, let's just address it for a moment. I understand they were underage. That's horrible. First of all, actually, I never knew that grand jurors could just break in and ask questions. I guess I kind of remember that from the movie, but it's not just about the prosecutors. The jurors these are jurors who are chiming in with their own rather pointed questions. Hey, this was wrong. You were taking money. You knew it was wrong, right? Those are regular people asking those questions.
Well, the grand jury system is extremely flawed, and there's only 2 countries that still have it, the United States and Liberia. The grand juries are notoriously easy to corrupt. All you have to do is find a special prosecutor that's corrupt, and then grand jurors are just people that have shown up for grand jury duty, and they've been funneled to a grand jury. And only the evidence that the special prosecutor shows the grand jurors, and only the people that he calls to testify, he is in a remarkable spot to just bend the ideas of these grand jurors. And with this grand jury, grand jurors can ask questions. But what happened in this grand jury is these poor girls were skewered by Barry Kirshner and his assistant, and then the grand jurors just picked up on that and started to skewer the girls themselves.
So they're just 14. These 2 girls in the grand jury, right?
They were 14 when they were molested by Epstein, and they were still teenagers when they were called before this grand jury a couple of years later.
So, all right. I mean, we know that rich, powerful people can hire every great lawyer in town and intimidate prosecutors and law enforcement. I mean, some of this is not new, right? I guess it's just baked into the system. It's terrible, but right?
Well, I wrote a book about a child trafficking network that was much like Epstein's, and that grand jury was very, very corrupt. I got the testimony from that grand jury, and this testimony shows that grand jury in Florida in 2006 was equally corrupt. The Palm Beach Police Department wanted to indict Epstein immediately on 5 counts of child abuse. But then that case got taken away from them, and it was given to this very corrupt grand jury. And the thing about grand juries in Florida is generally they're only reserved for capital cases. So once this grand jury was called, it was pretty much the fix was in.
All right. So with Jeffrey Epstein, speaking again broadly, the understanding is, that he had his homes under total surveillance, rooms, cameras, microphones everywhere. He'd have the best, most famous people in the world, best, quote unquote, all the right people to his home. They'd hook up with girls, often underage girls. He would record these maneuvers, these happenings, and use the videotape as evidence. Do you believe all that? And not as evidence, as blackmail material. Is that true?
Definitely. Senator John Kennedy brought that up. FBI Director Wray was really, really hammered by him about 3 weeks ago. And he asked Christopher Wray, what are you doing about the Epstein case? He was talking about blackmail, the senator was, and said that Epstein arranged these liaisons with underage girls and filmed them. And Christopher Wray just was completely evasive when asking those questions. And it was very, he used words like had investigated. So I would say it's probably safe to surmise that the FBI really isn't investigating Epstein at this point, just by his body language and by the way that he used his verbs. I definitely don't think that the FBI is investigating this case. And Senator John Kennedy, he was very, very skeptical of Wray's answers.
All right. So, man, oh, man, oh, man. I have always been wondering, though, if you're a rich, powerful person and you find out that Epstein has dirt on you, I would, and you're the type of rich, powerful person who likes underage girls, that you would possibly be the type of person who would kill Jeffrey Epstein the moment you found out he was blackmailing you. And he was doing this for a long time. That kind of surprises me a lot, I guess. But then again, it does really reinforce the whole notion that he was killed, did not commit suicide while he was in jail.
When that grand jury didn't return any indictments of child abuse against Jeffrey Epstein, the Michael Ryder, who is the chief of the Palm Beach Police Department, went to the feds and said, you've got to investigate this. And Alexander Acosta, the U.S. attorney for Southern Florida, said that he was going to launch an investigation into it. But then he was told, and he's never rescinded this, he was told that he couldn't prosecute Epstein because Epstein was intelligence. And that's what people don't get about this, is that Epstein is a college dropout from Coney Island. He doesn't have any power compared to some of the most powerful men in the world, or certainly in the country. But Epstein has an organization, an entity behind him that makes it known to these guys that if you hurt Jeffrey Epstein, then there's going to be retribution. And since they're blackmailed already, there's nothing they can really do. And Jeffrey Epstein goes about his merry way until he gets way too much publicity, and then it's time for him to go.
And that entity, the entity behind him is what?
Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and 401k as the stock market braces for impact. I'm Larry Kudlow, and I urge you to fortify your savings with physical gold with my friends at Priority Gold. To learn how gold and silver can help diversify your savings, please call 1-800-405-GOLD or just visit PriorityGold.com to get a free gold information guide. That's 1-800-405-GOLD.
Janine Pirro here for Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group helps Americans protect their future with the most trusted store of wealth in human history, physical gold and silver. If you're retiring or retired, go to colonialmetalsgroup.com/Pirro for your free Janine Pirro Colonial Metals Group Retirement Protection Kit, or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 now to receive a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver.
According to Alexandra Acosta, he was told that intelligence.
Okay.
Epstein was part of intelligence.
So
however you want to interpret that.
Right.
But that's what, and Alexandra Acosta has never rescinded that. He's been asked about that a number of times, and he's never rescinded that. He was told that he had to back away from Epstein because Epstein was intelligent.
All right, one other thing now. What about this? Let's see. Intelligence. I guess Bill Barr. I don't know. Where does this go? What happened? I mean, like, what? Now that we know this, like, I feel like another shoe is about to fall. Is that going to happen?
Well, I don't think it's going to happen with law enforcement. I think that our law enforcement is too corrupt. The special prosecutor that oversaw the Epstein trial, or Ghislaine Maxwell trial, his name is Damian Williams. He carefully choreographed that trial. So there were only 4 victims called, even though law enforcement or federal law enforcement was aware of over 30 victims. And those 4 victims had exclusively been molested by Epstein and Maxwell. So they couldn't name other perps. And so you had Bill Barr covering it up.
Yeah.
And then you have the current Attorney General covering it up. And actually the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, which is the most powerful federal law enforcement officer in New York, covering it up.
Where the hell are the media? My God, they are now so complacent and so tamed. They're tamed. They're under control. Let me ask you this. You called Jeffrey Epstein a college dropout from Coney Island. Now, people have written that he was some sort of mathematical genius, and that's why he got the job at the private prep school when he was in his 20s. Was he smart, like a genius smart, or is that all just kind of an intelligence cover? He was just a guy that was useful and that they were using, and all that stuff is make-believe.
That's interesting. About 2 weeks ago, I got some pictures. Epstein was sent to Interlochen Arts Camp, which is in Michigan, northern Michigan. And there's people that are promising artists and musicians are sent there. And Epstein went to the summer camp. Now, I've got, and Interlochen cannot deny that Epstein didn't attend that camp because he had put $500,000 up for like the Epstein Lodge, which seemingly has been renamed. But there's a picture, I believe, of William Barr, also at Interlochen. And your listeners can go to my website, nickbryantnyc.com, and they can check out this picture I have of William Barr when he was, I believe it's William Barr, and most people believe it's William Barr, when he was a teenager. So it's conceivable that William Barr and Epstein met in 1967, and then 7 years later, in 1974, Barr's father, Donald, hires a college dropout for one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious, preparatory schools in the United States of America.
Yeah, that crazy. Now it's gone crazy woke, the Dalton School. Hey, listen, man, I'm on your website right now. Where do I find this picture? I want to see Bill Barr at this summer camp with Jeffrey Epstein. Where is it?
It should be right there. Let me see.
I don't know, man. I'm on the homepage. I don't see it. I see about you. Got to go.
No. Go to the blog.
Yeah, the blog. Okay, the blog, and there it is. There it is. All right, I got to take
now look at those pictures. Does that not look like William Barr?
I got to take a better look. It's on my phone. It's a little bit blurry. The guy with the glasses.
Yes.
The guy with the glasses. And who?
But it makes sense that that Epstein had some kind of relationship with the bars because of him being hired at Dalton.
Well, we know that. Yeah, could be. Wait, I want to one thing, because this guy's got pretty floppy ears. You ever notice that? He's got floppy ears, got big earlobes. So maybe Bill Barr does. Does Bill Barr have those earlobes? I'm going to settle this mystery once and for all.
Well, here's the thing with the ears. I used to have big ears, and I grew into my ears. But if you look at his nose and his dimples, they're exactly the same as William Barr.
Yeah.
And I can attest from my own personal experience that I did grow into my ears. And people often grow into their ears.
I hear you. Something very weird is afoot, and Nick Bryant, you are all over it. We thank you. Keep up the amazing work. NickBryantNYC.com. NickBryantNYC.com. Fascinating blog. And this picture, which is on your website right now, may be going ultra viral in the near future. Nick,
let's hope so.
All right. Good luck. Keep us informed.
Okay, Greg.
Thank you very much. See you later. Yeah, I'm looking at this picture. That could be. Now, what does it mean? Yeah, it means that these guys may have known each other for a long time, and we know he had cover. Wow, this is wild. I got to find that Acosta saying intelligence. Now, you know why this thing broke wide open all over again? Like, where did it come from? Epstein had been doing this for years. Because it was an effort they knew that they could try to embarrass Trump. Why? Because Trump went with the swamp and they recommended a U.S. attorney for Secretary of Labor. And that U.S. attorney is the guy who was involved in some of these negotiations with Epstein. His name was Acosta, not Jim Acosta, another Acosta. And the Miami Herald reporter who kind of made this whole case against Epstein, she admitted it. She did it to get Trump. Not that Trump had anything to do with this nonsense, but just that Acosta, right? You can get another cabinet member. Kind of silly, but I'm glad she did it because we're learning a hell of a lot. Be right back.
Greg Kelly.